Hello and welcome to a new edition of the Net Report. We have some breaking news today. NBA breaking news, Chris.
Crazy. The off
Where the
season
hell did
was
this?
dead in the water, and this news just pops out of nowhere.
We were struggling for some NBA news here in the past couple of weeks leading up to training camp. We were getting ready to talk about all the Celtics hate and this and that. But hey, the Knicks decided to one up that. They traded Julius Randle and Donte Divincenzo. To who, you might ask? The Timberwolves for a center. Not the one the Timberwolves should have traded for, though. They traded away Cat, the hometown hero, 9-year vet. Drafted him number one overall, shipped him off like a bag of potatoes.
Ooh.
So yeah, uh, Cat's going to the very, very top heavy and very, very active and loaded New York Knicks, to presumably be their stretch four slash starting five, I guess. And they send out their longtime player Julius Randle and number four of the Vando kids, Donte Divincenzo, and a very, very heavily protected first round pick via the Pistons to the Timberwolves. There is a third team involved in this reportedly. It is the Hornets. We're not really sure how that's going to be fully constructed yet. That's still developing news. Um, but Chris, what do we think about this?
So
Let's
we'll
just kind of just start with the Wolves.
crazy. I mean, looking at the Wolf side of things, I absolutely hate the pairing of Julius Randle and Rudy Gobert in the backcourt. We'll get to DiVincenzo later because I actually think he's an amazing off-ball player you can have, shooter next to Anthony Edwards. It'll allow him to create a lot more, but this combination between Randall and Gobert is just so weird together. You have Naz Reid mixed in there too. It almost feels like I'd be shocked if Julius Randle's on this roster past trade deadline of 2025. It's gonna be a weird fit. I already don't like Randall's offense compared to Cat's. He's not much of a stretch guy. He's not gonna really he's not consistent from three. He's never really shouldered a great offensive load during the playoffs. You're pairing that next to Gobert, who already can't stretch the floor. He's had his playoff limitations. Cat at least helped that a little bit. I just don't understand the fit from that sense. I like DiVincenzo. He's a great player, but it feels like this is more of a hey, we really need to get under the cap or we really need to get away from this second apron because the owner doesn't want to pay money. And maybe with Randall we can make another lateral move to make this team slightly better, but I just don't love it. And I'm never a fan of owners cutting pennies, trying to save dollars at the expense of the team, and that's what it feels like so far.
So I understand a lot of where you're coming from with your analysis of the Timberwolves side of this trade. What I will say is they were going to be massively and wildly expensive future money considering. And it was all very top heavy at one position. Pat, Gobert, Naz Reid, all centers. You can't be that top heavy at one position like that. They were guards or forwards. Sure, you can kind of do that, but you really can't do that with three centers. So
Hmm.
you were going to have to kind of let go of one of these. In my mind, it should have been Gobert. I mean, he was the guy you should have tried to get rid of, but I don't know who was taking on that contract. Um,
Nor were you going to get any value for it, to be fair.
it's really crazy to think about it like that. It's like the one person who's kind of untradeable on this as far as your three centers is the reigning decoy in that sense. But there's a lot of factors that go into that. He's the one I would have traded, not the one they did trade. But I will harken back to what you said. I despise the pairing of Julius Randle and Rudy Gobert. I think that if you're going to have someone like a stretch four, if you want to call it, next to Gobert, they got to be able to shoot the three consistently.
Hmm.
And Randall's had a lot of injuries lately, and his shot is, no offense, hit or miss. Um, I mean, they got better defensively. I'll give them that. Offensively, I don't know. DiVincenzo is great for this team. I love it. That's great off-ball shooter for Ant to just toss it out to. I still think DiVincenzo comes off the bench, though. I don't think you start him over McDaniels. The first round hit they got, it's whatever. I mean, it's so many protections on it. Top 13 protected this year, 11 next year, 9 after that. They're not going to see that pick unless the Pistons get radically better, radically fast. What I do think is big here is This shows a lot of confidence they have in Nas Reed. I think there's a way to make it work where you can limit the minutes with Gobert and Randle by kind of focusing more on Nas Reed and Randle. I think that pairing works a little bit better. Um, so as far as like a consistency front court goes, we'll see. It's a strange move for the Wolves for sure. I don't think it raises their ceiling. I mean, it definitely doesn't raise their ceiling. I don't know that it lowers it that much that you're like panicking, and it saves a lot of future cap where you can kind of be more flexible when like and maximize these ant years. Just like that ant contract or not that Gobert contract just sticks out like a sore thumb, man. Like
Mm-hmm.
I really don't like it. I never have for this team, but we'll see. Flipping over to the Knicks, I'll kind of give my thoughts on them first, and they're kind of a question mark right now as far as my thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
They went for the home run swing, the Knicks did, trading away everything and anything for Mikal Bridges, which I've given my thoughts on before. Overpay. I get the necessity of it, though. You're now veering into a territory of you're essentially tearing down everything that you were last year. That's grinded out, smash the boards, grindhouse of a team. You have a whole new identity this year now. You trade like you don't have any of those guys anymore. It feels like Randle gone, Divincenzo gone. You lost Hardenstein in free agency. Who knows when we're going to see Mitchell Robinson? And so you're kind of now in like an offensive first, defensive second team, which is, excuse me, very anti Tom Thibodeau. We'll see. Again, I think this move was directly made to combat the Celtics. As a Celtics fan, I don't think that's bias at all. Like, they genuinely, I feel like, made this move because, like, holy hell, we got to do something to match these Celtics. And this team, more than any team in the league, is made to beat the Celtics. Not that I'm saying they're better, but I'm saying they'll match up the best. I feel like. Um, that is your center. I mean, they needed the center. I don't love it. As far as a defensively minded team, it just seems weird. Same thing I just said with the Wolves. I don't think it raises their ceiling that much. It definitely doesn't lower their ceiling, but I don't really think this raises their ceiling very much at all. I still have them as second or third team in the East. I expect them to. I have them competing in the conference finals, but Celtics are the team to beat. And I haven't even got into like this isn't done. This trade, like we don't know what's going to the Hornets yet, and I'll get your thoughts here, and I'll go into the cap implications. But I think that the Knicks are going to lose something else in this trade just to facilitate it correctly. But let's get your thoughts on the trade here first.
I will say this. I wholeheartedly disagree about the offense first, defensive second notion you have there. This team is putting all their eggs in the perimeter defense basket. And I think you're
Fair,
selling
fair, fair, fair.
you're selling Karl Towns a little bit short. Like he's definitely improved defensively. Is he this interior presence like Gobert or someone who's gonna be a lockdown interior presence, shot block? No, he's not. But he was a big part of what the Timberwolves did, and I wanted to get into that too. Like Timberwolves losing him is big because they finally figured out how to stop Jokic and the Nuggets. He was a big part of that, and a defensive mind like Tom Thibodeau, you can't tell me he's not going to figure out something to kind of make that work, especially with the big perimeter defender guys like OG Anunoby. You have Mikal Bridges there. They're going to find a way to make it work, I believe. I think they're still going to be hellacious on the defensive side of the ball. I can't imagine, like, they're going to fall off that bad. Like, they're going to be fine defensively, in my opinion. I do think this raises their offense tremendously, and I do think it is a needle mover. Like, even just from the fact you have Cat, one of the greatest, if not the greatest shooting big man of all time. Like, just him stretching the floor. He might come on. Who's better than him? Shooting wise. 3-point shooting wise. Anyways, that's a debate for another day. But
Shooting and 3-point shooting aren't the same, just so we're aware.
yes, but it matters. It's a big part of it. But anyways, back to the original point. This definitely opens up a lot for the Knicks offense. It's going to stretch out the floor, especially for guys like Mikal Bridges, OG Anunoby, who are fine shooters. They're great, 3-point shooters, but they could become even better with Cat on the team, just opening up the floor more. And defensively, I think they'll be fine. You bring back Mitchell Robinson after January if he stays, because he can be a part of the trade. We don't know yet, but assuming he's on that team, I think him and Cat will play fine next to each other. They're still gonna have, assumingly, if they keep this band together, like Hart, McBride, possibly off the bench once Mitch comes back if he is starting. I like it. I think it is a real needle mover for this Knicks team.
I guess I'm not as sold on the defense interior wise.
They're
Perimeter,
gonna need
I'll
another
give you.
guy who can play 15-ish minutes, like be an interior presence. I don't know what else they
Oh,
have
but
to
like
trade for that,
they don't
but
have that on their team though.
but
Jericho
it's
Sims and
something
Precious Achua aren't gonna do that.
it's something you can try to get during trade deadline. We've seen weirder things happen come trade deadline. If you told me Jericho Sims can give them decent minutes, like 10 to 15, and like make it work, I don't think it's impossible. It's not impossible.
I agree that their perimeter defense is going to be top five. It is going to be nasty. I just don't believe in this interior defense. I'll give you what you said though. You made a great point. Tom Thibodeau will find a way to make it work. He'll bring out the best in Cat defensively, and I thought they did a great job with him defensively last year. I don't think he was great defensively, but it was probably his best season defensively. I'll
Especially in the
give him that.
playoffs. Especially in the
Especially,
playoffs
yeah, no,
against the Nuggets.
I will admit I forgot how well he did against the Nuggets, and they did figure that out. Props to you for remembering that. But I agree he'll bring out the best of him. I just don't think it's a huge needle mover offensively for me. I don't think this team needed anything more offensively. I wanted to see them, and listen, they needed a big, and I'm going to have this be my segue into they needed a big. They got Cat, but from what it's looking like from a numbers perspective, the only thing that I can think of as far as how they're going to make this trade work structurally is they're going to have to move Mitchell Robinson. The Knicks are already hard capped at the first apron. They're taking in more salary than they're sending out as it stands with what we've mentioned. About 8 million's worth. When you look at their cap sheet, Robinson makes 14, Miles McBride makes 6, but you can't trade Miles McBride. You can't trade Precious Achua. You just re-sign Precious Achua. So, and I don't think that they're going to stack together all these minimum contracts. So, because then you're just blowing your already reduced depth out of the water, and there's no one out there to pick up like that. That's going to help you. So, unless barring something I haven't seen or read, and it's still developing, I don't know how this trade facilitates and works without you trading Mitchell Robinson. And if that's the case, and we will put caveat on that because we don't know yet. If that ends up happening, this trade is downright awful. I'm sorry, it's awful for the Knicks. Unless they somehow manage to get, if it ends up going to the Hornets, let's say, and they get Mark Williams back or something weird like that.
That'd be insane. You got it. I would
It would be.
crucify
But like
Charlotte for that, but
I would too, but I don't see how this works from a money perspective. They have to find $8 million to send out still. And it's not going to go back to the Wolves because the Wolves can't take more salary back anymore.
mm-hmm.
They're also hard capped.
We'll
It's
have
going
to
to more than likely
see.
have to go to the Hornets.
Mm-hmm.
But if Mitchell Robinson's the player that goes out, everything we've talked about it's null and void because the whole idea is Mitchell Robinson was the heart of that smash and crash offensive board defense last year. This is a whole different defensive identity.
I would argue
Hartenstein and Mitchell Robinson.
Hartenstein was more the heart and soul. Robinson was in and out so much it didn't really matter come playoff time. It just didn't.
He is one of the best offensive rebounding bigs. He was the heart and soul when they were actually going through it like that. Hartenstein was great. He was put in a great situation, I will say. I think he was elevated by his teammates. I think Robinson was more of the backbone when they were actually moving and chugging along. But if they take away Robinson from this team, you're going to ask Cat to play the 5. I don't love him as your full-time 5, no offense.
think you're overvaluing it a little bit, overvaluing Robinson a little bit too much, and we don't even know that's the case yet. I don't want to get
I know, and
on
again,
too
it's
murky
a
waters.
caveat, but that's why until I can see this trade in its full view, it's like it's kind of just like 50-50 for me who wins, who doesn't. It's like they both kind of net
I'll tell
neutral
you
this,
this:
in my opinion.
I'm not afraid to say this. I think the Timberwolves lost this trade. The Knicks have the ability to lose this trade depending on what else they give up. Like it can be that rare
I
lose
agree.
lose. But right now, given all the details we have, I think it's a massive win for the Knicks. We'll see what else happens. They can get a third or fourth team. Things can get weird with the cap. We've seen it happen plenty of times. There's exceptions. There can be exceptions we don't even know
So
about. So I'm not
so
stressing
the
until I
problem
see
with
it treated by
third or
Shams.
fourth team is most teams don't have cap space anymore. It's
Mhm.
kind of you're limited to like these very few minor teams that do. I get it. Like we don't know yet, so hold your horses. But looking at it, it just I think we're veering into a lose lose territory with this one, and I kind of just feel bad mostly for Wolves fans. I know how I feel if we lost our franchise player, and I get it. You have Ant as well, but had Cat for 9 years. Like that's not nothing.
Mhm. I will say this too. It's just the most frustrating part. I said it earlier. I'm gonna say it again. You finally figured out how to stop the Nuggets and Jokic. This team got the furthest it has in a long, long time. We're talking since KG.
More
And you go
ones
and
up.
blow it up because the owner didn't want to pay. And you know what? I get it. Second apron. Team's gonna be super ridiculously expensive for the three they
In
have at the top.
Minnesota.
But
That's a not big market, and they're in the
come
middle
on.
of a an ownership
Mhm.
like dispute,
But
like
come on.
sale. So
It's frustrating as a
I know.
fan. It's frustrating.
It's
I
frustrating is for
mhm.
as a Celtics fan. Like I'm not even frustrated that the Knicks are doing these moves. Sorry, not sorry. I'm still not scared of you, New York.
Jakob, the
Um,
known Nick hater. That's why he doesn't like your
Nick
move.
Hater. It's not that at all. I like Cat for them. I just I don't like what I think is going to happen after the fact. I'm sorry, Wolves fans. You guys should have let KG buy your team. He would have never let this happen. Anyways, we will continue to update you guys as we get more information. It's still not complete. We have no idea what's going to continue as this falls out. When we get more information, we will update you guys. Please let us know down below who won, who lost. Jamar, we already know who you think won. Yes, it is the Wolves, correct?
He's very upset about the Divincenzo part though, which I get from Knicks fans. I do get that from Knicks fans. I
Wham.
understand.
Whatever. That's a nothing add-in for this. I mean, there's so many
Chill,
reports coming out now
chill.
that he was unhappy, this and that.
I mean, if
It's
that's
all
the
my
case,
team.
yes, but it's
He
not
was unhappy with
nothing.
reduced minutes, and he was going to have reduced minutes this year. Whatever. Regardless to say, let us know in the comments below who won, who lost, why are the Celtics still the team to beat in the East, and why are they going to win the NBA championship? Let us know down below. Please like, subscribe, comment. Thank you for listening to the Net Report podcast. We'll see you next time.
We'll see ya. Take care.